we need to talk about Jalen Rose and Draymond Green calling out Stephen A. Smith, along with why so many people in basketball media have been criticizing him over the past few years. There's plenty more that could be discussed, because he's made comments about a wide range of people, including his own New York Knicks after they won the championship. We don't even need to revisit everything he said about them. Instead, let's focus on the Jaylen Brown situation, how it connects to the Russell Westbrook controversy and the ongoing discussions surrounding Kyrie Irving. When you look at Jaylen Brown, he publicly stood up for Kyrie Irving. To many fans, it started to feel like Stephen A. consistently singled out a certain type of athlete. A lot of people pointed to the discussion around Kyrie Irving, including the commercial that circulated suggesting he would be named to the NBA's 75th anniversary team, which ultimately never happened because of everything surrounding him at that time. Then the conversation shifted to Jaylen Brown being left off Team USA, followed by claims that he wasn't especially well-liked, and from there, the entire narrative seemed to spiral. That's exactly what Jamel Hill and Draymond Green were addressing when they criticized Stephen A. Smith and some of the storylines that have been pushed on the shows he's associated with. Since Stephen A. is the face of many of those programs, they believed he was the person who should be held accountable. And they're far from the only voices speaking up. The Russell Westbrook situation is another example that people continue to bring up, especially when questioning why his suspension wasn't longer.
He found it. He also said, called the league office the other day, and this one, Gilly posted this, and this one hurt my soul, man. Like, he called the league office to see why Russell Westbrook was suspended. And that just don't sit right with me. And he's a journalist, he needs information. That shit was just weak to me. So we're going to get to Jalen Rose in a second, because that's another friend of the program. But Jack, Stephen A. Smith of late, what's going on with our guy, man?
You don't work for the league. What make you think you got the power to call and get somebody suspended? So you opening more doors to thinking now, okay, the times where you done went on TV and spoke bad about me and other players, you called and put your vote in to get people suspended. That's what you saying? Like that's crazy that you would openly say that. And hold on, my little brother, I love you to death, but you agree with that, Perk, and you a player. You know better than that. Just imagine if you was playing and he called the league when you got into it with somebody, Serge Ibaka or somebody, and they saying that, and he called and saying, well, I think Perk needs to be suspended, taking money out your pocket and your.
We're building toward the main point here, but first, I want to show a few moments that have really frustrated NBA players and others around the league. Now that we're in the streaming era, those players aren't staying quiet anymore. They're pushing back. We'll get to the Jaylen Brown situation shortly, but it's important to look at some of the incidents that happened along the way. There's a recurring pattern that Jalen Rose recently pointed out when talking about Stephen A. Smith. Right now, I'm just highlighting different moments that help explain why this conversation has gained so much attention. You can see it in the reaction to the Kyrie Irving situation, where he referred to Stephen A. as a media pile. But pay close attention to what Stephen A. says after his disagreements with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes.
Also, too, Stephen A. Smith, I think you had some marriage advice for me. Is that right? Or?
Well, you know what? Listen, I didn't. People, headlines are headlines. We can get into that another time. But I was hoping you were going to be here. No, I am not qualified. Married? Right. Oh no, not me. Well, I ain't qualified, my brother. I'm not qualified. I was going to ask, because you hadn't been married before, right?
I am married.
No, Stephen. Okay. Yeah, because I give advice to plenty of founders who want to build billion-dollar companies. And the reason I do that is because I build billion-dollar companies. Yeah. So I generally try to stay in my lane as advice
Then we'll talk marriage advice later. I'm going 13 years strong. We got you.
Right.
Alexis, thank you so much. Athlos NYC two-night event.
So we've all seen Stephen A.'s approach, right? Whenever a public controversy comes up, he often wants to appear on someone else's show or invite them onto his own. From the athlete's perspective, though, the bigger issue is that these debates can create narratives that follow them long after the interviews are over. Meanwhile, both sides benefit from the extra attention, whether it's higher viewership, sponsorship opportunities, or more exposure, because everyone knows those conversations help drive traffic and grow the show. But when Stephen A. was publicly challenged by someone outside the NBA media circle, more specifically, Serena Williams' husband, his response looked
about a couple of things that I felt compelled to address, even while I'm on vacation. I felt compelled to respond. You and I were pretty tight. And then after the choking incident with Rudy Gobert and the slap to Yusuf Nurkic, I upset you because I called you and said it was difficult to defend you. We've never talked since that time. You never called me and had a conversation man to man. Did I bring up the fact that you were willing to give that opportunity to Skip Bayless, but you've never given me that opportunity? You've never invited me on Draymond Green's show since we haven't spoken, privately or publicly. Name the time and place, bro. Ain't no problem for me. Anytime, any place, anywhere, bro. I'll bring the camera crew to you and everything. Whatever you want.
After that, though, we got absolutely nothing from Stephen A. Smith. He stayed completely silent. He didn't invite Serena Williams' husband onto his show or challenge him publicly the way he has with others. This was someone who openly pushed back, pointing to the billion-dollar companies he helped build and essentially telling Stephen A., "You're a small player compared to me." Stephen A. never really responded. That's why some people felt he handled that situation much differently. Over the years, we've also seen Jalen Rose criticize Stephen A., including what he described as the Cowboys' hate routine. The argument is that constantly attacking the Cowboys helps generate views because people tune in to hear the latest take. At the end of the day, that's part of the entertainment business, and everyone understands that. But many players believe some of Stephen A.'s comments about black athletes, along with reports attributed to anonymous sources, can affect how those athletes are viewed. They argue that those narratives can impact endorsement opportunities, business relationships, and ultimately their earning potential because of the way those stories are presented. Now let's look at what Jalen Rose recently had to say about Stephen A. Smith. He wrote that one of the phoniest things in sports media is when people create public beef and then suddenly say, "Come on my show," or offer to appear on someone else's to talk it out. In his view, that's nothing more than chasing clicks. He's made similar accusations before, including his criticism of Stephen A.'s repeated Cowboys commentary. Jalen also said, "I can say or do what I want, thank you." He followed that by saying he's already proven himself to be the #1 voice in sports debate, adding, "See Skip and SAS popped the trunk," referring to his history debating on ESPN. So what exactly did he mean by that? Earlier, I showed one example involving Jamal Stacken and Matt Barnes. Now, after everything surrounding the Jamal Hill and Draymond Green situation, let's look at another example of what he was talking about.
You want to question my ethics or whatever, name the time and place, bro. Matter of fact, don't take the place. You can take the time, but not the place. We're going to do it on my set, because I ain't coming to that dungeon. That's what you want? You want to have that conversation? You want to really sit across from me and have a conversation about that?
Now, once again, Stephen A. Smith found himself at the center of another situation, this time involving Jaylen Brown. The question is whether he took the same approach he used with Draymond Green, Jamal Hill, Steven Jackson, and Matt Barnes. Let's see if he relied on that same strategy here as well.
Got the Rudy Gobert and the Yusuf Nurkic incident because that's Stephen A.'s way of trying to lessen the impact of what you may say back. I'm going to throw out these negative-ass things that happened with you many years ago that you've come back from, that you've moved past. I'm going to throw those things out to try to gather an audience, to try to gather a crew to be on my side, a base of people to be on my side. So I'm going to throw these things out to remind these people that may have been upset that you did that because they may not like those types of things or whatever. I'm going to remind them of that so they can be on my side when I say this. A typical Stephen A. thing. He said we have not spoke since. I think that, those things happen to be right around the time where a lot of people in the industry felt like this dude took this sharp left turn. And all of a sudden became like this you speak on Jaylen Brown. The problem I had with Stephen A. and Jaylen Brown was when you called him out like a mob boss. When you sat in front of the camera and spoke as if you saw him, you was going to do something to him. That's the problem I had when speaking about Jaylen Brown. The issue that I have, and by the way, it's not a real issue because people, again, I go back to the statement I made about Shams, which these are in two completely different capacities. But get your money how you get your money, man. Like, I'm not mad at anybody for how they get their money. That's including Stephen A. So for a guy who actually, yes, what he is right about is we were pretty tight. As was Stephen A. with a lot of guys, by the way. Like, that wasn't just me. I think, and being in the media space, I think we had built even more of a relationship because he is the guy in the media space. You know, when you look at him, he is right up there at the top of the chart with Charles Barkley and, you know, for the likes of people like that. Like, you are that. I'm not some hater. I'm also a truth teller. You very much so are right up there at the top, and very appreciative throughout the years of the advice given as someone who's continued to try to elevate and learn and work in this space. So yeah, those are all facts. Just like a lot of players having a relationship with you were facts until you started to disrespect players as if you were a player. There's a fine line. And Jamel and